My name is Mars, and my pronouns are they, them. And as your first non binary Puerto Rican president, born with HIV, I will make sure that this is the generation that ends the HIV epidemic. And this is how. I'm going to make sure that we are addressing our access to care issues and prioritizing them on a global level. Because I believe until we do that, there's going to be too many underreported and underserved populations to truly ensure the accuracy of our statistics about new perinatally diagnosed children being born with HIV. And the reason for this is the people who were counted as the statistic are the ones who were able to make it to the doctor or to the hospital during labor, to receive care prior to birth, to know their own status, to then know whether or not the status of their child was in question. The people who are at risk of continuing the epidemic are the people who do not know their status, don't have access to the care to know their status, and will likely carry on their entire pregnancy into birth without care for their child either, which will then lead to another child being born with HIV, which will continue the epidemic. So until we address these issues, it's going to continue to be a problem. So the way that I plan to address these is to make sure that we expand programs into rural areas to help make access to care easier. I want to make sure that HIV home test kits are more readily available and given out just as freely as COVID tests were and are. I want to make sure that we're creating programs that fund more mobile testing sites and mobile doctors so that these people in these rural areas can get more consistent and adequate testing and care. I want to make sure that we are addressing and removing the HIV criminalization laws that still exist within those states. I believe that this will help reduce the outdated rhetoric and stigma that is fueling our epidemic. And until our education is able to squash the stigma, I believe that we're going to continue to have a problem. So encouraging new programs to support HIV testing in the areas where the stigma is high, which I believe will be the areas where we're able to remove the criminalization laws. I believe that it should also become a requirement for all medical staff and students to take a course on the history of HIV from all aspects of lived experiences, such as doctors and nurses who were employed during the height of the epidemic, as well as long-term and lifetime survivors who have survived 20 to 30 plus years of being HIV positive. I believe that we need to create a culture that is fueled more by programs that are for us, by us. The community that's going to know the most about what they need is the community that needs to be asked and be serving themselves, as well as have access to the things that will help serve the community better. I believe that more research on finding a cure for HIV should be funded, as well as more education more readily available for the HIV negative populations about PrEP. For those who aren't interested in a cure, I believe that research should be funded and prioritized to better address the treatment that is needed for the accelerated aging that is happening amongst long-term survivors and lifetime survivors. I believe that it's important to understand that the long-term effects of the virus on the body as we age in every age group. So lifetime survivors are included in that so that we can best understand how we can stop and cure HIV once and for all. HIV testing should become a part of common mainstream testing, just like allergy testing is. And I don't believe that any ages should be excluded from this testing. This will help the perinatally diagnosed children that are not told about their status as children. It will help them find out sooner, which will help them then take the necessary precautions to not to get into treatment and to not spread HIV further. And I want to make sure to prioritize funding for new and existing nonprofit organizations like the Albany Damien Center that is in New York that prioritizes people living with HIV and homelessness. Lastly, I will end the epidemic and work with this generation to end the epidemic by prioritizing HIV agendas and paid research studies to ensure that every effort is being used to better understand the virus in the entirety of its lifespan. And I believe then and only then is when we will actually end this HIV epidemic. Thank you for tuning in.